Everybody, welcome to the Empty Theater Show. I'm your host, Craig Fairbanks, and on my left we have...
John Michael Joyner.
Yay, you went before last this time. And on the far side of the couch we have, joining us for the first time...
Joseph Maxwell.
Woohoo! Yeah, so you're probably going to see a lot of Joseph, unless he really hates doing this show and then he never goes back.
What if he does hate
Yeah. You're open to either being a regular or a one-time, like a one-night stand kind of guest.
Those are my options.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. It's either all or nothing.
And who is this guy? I don't know him very well.
Joseph?
Yeah.
Joseph, do you want to
Just
tell us a little bit about
brief,
yourself?
just something, because I see you all the time, and I know that you do things and you have done things and you've been places, and you are currently.
That's the girl from
Here now,
the
so.
girl from Cardinal Redbird said last night. I do improv.
Oh,
Nice.
okay, yeah.
I'm from Texas.
Okay.
Originally moved here from Austin. Came here to be an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I was an actor in Austin as well. The industry there is not super lively, contrary to many of the people that are still there and believe that. Unfortunately, their film incentives from the state have just been
Right.
cut entirely.
Oh,
So
cool.
they announced that.
I just smiled and nodded through you being like, we cut funding. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yes,
Great.
that's good. I'm listening.
Slash it.
This is
Uh,
natural.
Get rid of it.
Oh.
So basically, as I coming out here, I don't know when's the good time to move to LA, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they announced the end of the film incentive program through the state. So it was great. It seems like they're not going to film hardly anything here anymore, and it's just time to go. So I came out
Okay.
here almost 2 years ago now, but a year and a half, I guess. So
Gotcha.
outside of that, I of course am an actor out here, looking to produce more work, and I just I don't know. There's a lot more to me, but I feel
Yeah,
like
there's a lot going on.
There's
You're
a lot.
heavily involved with what we're doing with Empty Theater, of
Yeah.
course. You've got a lot of the film production stuff going
Mhm.
on your shoulders, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show, I think,
Yeah.
specifically the nuts and bolts of how academic that process is. And
Yeah.
then Kipple was my idea, and that's kind of what we're bringing towards Empty Theater as a whole. So you're a co-writer on that, co-star, co-cameraman, how can we make any of it actually come into fruition and be a thing? So yeah, and we met at Upright Citizens Brigade, good old 101, and then have not left each other's side yet, all the way through 301. Maybe we'll part for 401.
It's
we
weird
just
to
need
think
room
about
to
it.
grow.
Because it seems first off, it seems like it wasn't that long ago, and then
6 months
Yeah,
almost,
just
right?
it's been 6 months, but then it also feels like that was forever ago now.
Yeah.
We have done so much together already, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's especially, and everyone says when you're in your 20s, whatever, out of college, it's really hard to make new friends. But I think UCB has been
Yeah.
I guess it is kind of everyone says it's kind of culty,
Yeah.
school anyway, right? Because
Well, it's almost like a perfect friend maker, because it's hey, get in this situation where everyone has to be vulnerable to
Just
doing
be
this
uncomfortable
scary thing,
together.
and then we'll also give you a free thing to go do together that's not weird, because you all have to see shows.
Right.
So it's go get your 2-show quota and become best friends forever. And that's
It's
kind of
like-
the UCB mantra.
Line up here. We've got Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
We're gonna drink that one by one.
Put on
We're
your-
gonna incite some stuff from a really forgotten book of the Bible that's
Yes.
not often quoted. And
Also one
blood
that-
sacrifices.
That was written by the guy that no one really wanted to hang around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, for an institution that's whole mantra is don't think.
Yeah,
It's a little suspect at times.
right. The fact that there is a book is a little.
Don't think. Come with us.
Don't think, but read this. And
Yeah.
also purchase it from us.
Yeah. Specifically
And
from us.
everybody.
I bought it from Amazon.
Ooh.
Just like you totally
Ooh.
bought it.
Yikes.
That's
They're taking money from their pockets. My man.
I'm sure that it still goes back to
I
them,
still pay for enough of
Yeah.
their shows.
Oh, sure.
I have a student ID and I see enough of their
Still
shows.
pay for
every year.
shows. But so the last thing I'll say about UCB though is it's true, it does stick forever, because the first set that I was on out here was last March or April, something like that. It was in Culver City, and the star of that show was I forget his name. Who's the roommate on Broad City?
Oh. I see the face.
You see the face, you got the big beard. I can't remember his name, the character on the show. So he was the star of it, and it was I don't really know if it was a proof of concept video or what it was. It was definitely a short nonetheless. And they had a full robot puppet thing. It was a weird thing. And then so 3 other people showed up on set. They were like, the leads in it. Turns out, like, out of the 4 of them there, 3 of them were in UCB classes together. And, like, they were still friends, and they didn't know that they'd all booked the same thing.
That's funny.
That is cool.
So, like, we're just sitting there, and I was talking to the main guy, the Broad City guy, and like, 2 people walk up, and they're like, hey! They started hitting off and talking about their teacher from UCB this, and I'm like, that was probably like 8 to 10 years ago at this point for some of these people. So it's like, that's cool.
That's the IMDb. Which one are you talking about?
It is John Gimberling. John Gimberling. He's the roommate. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
So yeah, it is cool. It does. I mean, it definitely like it breaks down everything you think. I guess that's why you're like it's hard to make friends, right? Because A, you're not around them constantly.
Yeah.
And then B, it's like you're not doing anything, you feel vulnerable, or like you have to be weird.
Yeah.
So it's like we're all weird, right? We just
Yeah.
don't show it all the time. So you're forced to be weird in a room for 3 hours a day. You're gonna make friends.
I mean,
That's
I
cool.
feel like that's how we became friends too. Was theater school, same idea.
Yeah.
You're just like you're rehearsing with each other 4 hours a
Made
night.
no
It's like eventually it's just easier to be friends.
You're like, normally I
honestly.
wouldn't, but
we were nemesis for so long, and I was like, this is taking too much effort.
that's
Turn out
awesome.
to John and Beretta?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh my gosh, you're
No,
right.
we don't need to talk about any of that.
Let's never talk about that. Oh my goodness.
Never
Yikes.
touch it again.
Modern interpretations of Shakespeare are just abysmal.
Yeah.
Really bad.
All of them. That's what you're gonna say.
Yeah, all of them.
All
Romeo plus
interpretations.
Juliet.
Yeah, for concepts, absolutely. If you're going to adapt it, awesome. That's great. You
What
take
if
it
they
in a
were
new
flappers
direction.
who time travel, but they're also
Ah.
hipsters?
What if they were
They wear
cavemen
black.
women that
Yeah.
had their respective kingdoms?
And at the end, they travel to space.
I hate that. It's such an insult. It's just like, yeah, we get it. It's universal. That's why we're still reading it today. Just appreciate it.
But you
for
know,
what
like
it is in
the
time.
language might be the best part of it, not the setting. You heard it here first.
Whoa.
Sorry, I was just saying.
Yeah,
Shakespearean
yeah,
words.
yeah, no,
Words. That's it.
Shakespearean words.
Shakespearean words. That's it, guys. Thanks for tuning into this 7-minute episode. So my topic today, I thought we would talk about Marvel movies because it's Black Panther Day. Everyone's hyped about that, and it looks incredible.
Mhm.
So what I wanted to talk about is, A, what's your like best memory of going to see a Marvel movie? Like a lot of people talk about going to see like the Avengers in theaters, something like that. And then B, did we expect for? I think we're on Phase 3 now. I think we're
Phase 3 has started.
Yeah.
yes.
Did we expect it to still be going this strong, but still this far into it? Because I feel like they really haven't slacked off, in my opinion, compared to like I think they're hitting it out of the park with like Spider-Man: Homecoming
Yeah.
or Ragnarok. Haven't seen Black Panther yet, but I've heard it's great.
So I'll say that, I mean, like, yeah, like, as far as like, their pacing goes, they definitely had, I might say, like, misses. Like, a lot of people didn't like Thor 1 or even Thor 2, to be honest.
I think Thor 2 is pretty widely
it's like,
disliked. Like,
if you
it's
look at it
low on the
standalone,
rankings.
yeah, it's not a bad movie, but it's just like, I mean, first off, that
They set the bar
property's-
high.
Yeah, that property is also very hard to get into. I think that's why they really broke the mold with the third one.
I
Just let them have
yeah.
fun with it, right? And then everyone connected.
And isn't it right around then where it was like every major blockbuster I felt like ended with like a world eater villain? Like wasn't Man of Steel around then?
I want to
And,
say
like,
it was, but
there's
also
just a
it was
lot of
that
movies
week
where it's
that-
like there's something gonna blow up the world, and then
Yeah.
it doesn't, and you're like, well, of course the world wasn't gonna blow
it's
up.
the whole like portal in the sky.
Yeah.
like,
Right.
yeah,
It's like the ether in that one, right? It's
Yeah.
supposed to,
Yeah,
doesn't it become
yeah.
an Infinity Stone?
yeah, it
or
is.
something.
It is.
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
technically,
But still, I remember seeing that in theaters and having a good time. It's just when you get out and kind of put it in context of 15 other movies, maybe at this point? A lot of other movies?
I want to say there's like 20 now.
Is it really?
I haven't. I think there's like 18 to 20 at this point. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Because like you always forget like Ant-Man as well. Like there's Ant-Man, and then
3 Iron Man.
3
movies,
Iron Man, 3
three
Thor, 3 Captain America.
2
Yeah.
Avengers by now.
One Hulk.
3 Hulk. Oh, 1 Hulk, you're right.
Well, there's the
Because they
one.
don't count the.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Yeah, so it is insane. I gotta say, like I'm totally aboard the Marvel bandwagon. I think that they have been doing really well, and I think that as far as like studios go, they've done really well with like acknowledging their faults
Mhm.
as well. Like so like Ant-Man is a good example. They had some good writers. They had Edgar Wright come in and write it, and he was attached to direct. They left for creative differences, but then that movie ended up not being as good as they hoped. right? And it's part of that was because the villain wasn't like well-rounded enough or whatever it was. Like the movie did well.
It was kind of like, imagine a superhero villain. That's who it is. Someone who's like works. Spoilers for Ant-Man, I guess. Someone who
2-year-old movie
works at the same company as the heroes, and then has his own selfish agenda, and then does like the very like, oh shoot, it just like wears the same suit. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's just like
the
very,
same
it's
exact
like
thing.
Iron Man 1, really.
Very much, yeah. So it's very
Tony
repetitive.
or whatever.
The biggest thing is
Tony. He's like flying around. And,
the big ass suit.
Yeah. Obadiah.
But yeah, so like I think the whole thing is like they got hit with like those disposable villains.
Yeah.
Which Ant-Man definitely had a disposable villain because they pretty sure they didn't kill him at the end of that first one. Anyone where they like kill the bad guy in the first movie is like, okay, the stakes really weren't that high, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think when they keep the villains, sometimes you don't love them at first, but then you do. Like, I don't remember thinking that Tom Hiddleston was like, oh, he's so great as Loki in the first one. I was like, oh, Loki's a cool character.
Yeah.
And then it was like, he's the villain of Avengers? And
And
then
then
it totally worked.
Then he keeps showing back up as well, right?
Yeah.
I think so. I think they've learned from their mistakes, which I think is going to also lend itself. I mean, one of the bad guys that I honestly haven't only seen the first trailer for Black Panther because I didn't want to see spoilers or actually see too much.
I
just
haven't
wanted
watched
to be
much
like,
about it either,
Yeah, so I know Andy Serkis, who was in Avengers 2.
Yeah.
He's back in this one. He's one of like the 2 white guys in it.
Yeah.
So it's like that alone, they're carrying villains through now to show, first off, it is a connected universe.
Mhm.
Like, not just the heroes are the only thing tying this thing
Right.
together. But also just, like it lets you build up these guys. I mean, bad guys aren't just like disposable people as well.
Mhm.
They're powerful in their own right. So I think that they've shown that this kind of like flexibility as a studio is just huge.
Mm-hmm.
So from the beginning, I think I saw Iron Man in theaters, Iron Man 1 in theaters, and I was like blown away. And it was like the whole like after the credit scene, right when Samuel Jackson came out for the first time, I was like, oh, this is gonna be around for a while.
Drops that.
Yeah. I think honestly from that moment for me, I was like, this is gonna last a long time because they just to do that alone, you have something in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like I know I read once that they had like a contingency for anything that could happen. Like if they got the rights back for Fantastic Four, they could change the path of the movies and incorporate them.
Right.
And Spider-Man.
You must have figured they knew they didn't have Spider-Man
They didn't.
first, and then they were like, oh, we got him now, so
Yeah.
that must have changed some things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just imagine that like wall, right? That's like the funnels of like the possibilities you could do
Right.
for storylines. So I don't know, it's wild. That is
It's nuts.
an insane company. What was your first Marvel movie?
My first was probably I mean, if we're going back to, outside of like Marvel Studios, like first comic book movie I probably ever saw was Spider-Man, the original
one.
Sam Raimi trilogy.
So for the current like Marvel universe,
right?
What was the first one you saw in theaters?
It's
and that
Iron Man, and then Hulk, and then on.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. No, I only said the Sam Raimi thing because I think it was I think that was my first exposure to making a complete world from original source material,
right.
something that of course is very, very well established, and one of the things that, well, I think two things that how that translates for the Marvel universe. The first is casting. I think casting makes it made the original Spider-Man series. I thought, like, when I would picture, what Harry Osborn looked like, it's like, oh my God, it's like James Franco. Like, that's just who he is. Oh yeah, Mary Jane Watson, Kirsten Dunst. Yeah, I see it. That I buy it. And so I think getting into the Marvel universe, one of the things that they've done so well is casting just incredible actors that really work well together in building that ensemble.
Who do you think the most important actor is in the MCU? It's obvious, right? I feel like it's obvious.
I know who you're going to say. Should we say it all on three?
See if we all say the same person?
Sure.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Robert Downey Jr.
Okay,
yeah.
So everyone's like, of course.
He started it, right?
Yeah.
So,
but he's also perfect for that role.
100%
And-
perfect.
And I think, like, no one mainstream really knew how good of a character Iron Man was then, right?
And
At
it's
least I don't feel like
interesting.
I did. Like I knew just, and I'd read some of the comics, but it didn't seem like he was like
What's
going to be
crazy?
a pillar that like pop culture could rally around.
Stand,
Yeah.
totally stand on his own.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think too that they cut a lot of Tony Stark's character down. I mean, like in the comics, he goes on. He has like a true alcohol issue. Like he's definitely an alcoholic. And
And
there's
they
a lot
touch
of
on
other
that in the third one, right?
very brief. The second one.
Second
Yeah,
and third one, right?
a
Yeah.
little
He
bit, but
has
then
the
it was
PTSD.
more of the PTSD, and so it was like kind of more.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
they
say
like
that's like only a
hint at it.
contemporary problem, but it seems to be something that's more
Yeah.
prevalent in
Yeah.
today's
They
society.
like touch on it, but there's so much more. Like there's so much to all these characters,
Yeah.
and that's what I think that some of the other superhero movies get wrong. Is actually building out that they're people,
Mhm.
not just people in suits or
Yeah.
costumes, whatever. But on casting note, that's really funny as well. You mentioned Loki. Is that Tom Hiddleston actually came in to read for Thor originally?
Really?
That's
yeah,
right.
there's a video out there, so you can there's a screen test of him
Yeah.
with the blonde wig and everything
Right.
else, and
Wow.
he put on muscle. He's still a really skinny dude,
Right.
but he's swinging the hammer like.
definition, yeah.
And they were like, man, he's so great, but he's just like not right for Thor.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, will you read for Loki? Just try it. And then he like
Just 'cause.
went out, came back in, and they all just like
Did he
fucking
get it?
loved- Yeah,
He got it.
yeah.
Awesome.
It was tight one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the casting is incredibly well done.
Yeah, and then the second point I would say is just specificity in terms of the details and how you incorporate those characters into a larger universe. So back to your original question of what was the first Marvel movie that I saw, it was Iron Man in theaters. And I think one of the things that was so cool about the whole trajectory of the phases is that they knew obviously what they were wanting to do in a broad sense, maybe not down to the specificity of like we're going to release this movie, this movie, this movie, this movie, this movie, and it kind of became more set in stone later on. But I think that it introduced such a different world on film that was rooted in the comics but was different, and it translated to film very well, and that there were a lot of characters that again were cast really, really well that set themselves up to be pulled into other things to where, when you see like Samuel L. Jackson in some of the later films, the Captain America stuff, or you see, like Agent Coulson, or even, like Pepper Potts, like showing up in other films that it's so specific for what the story, that one story is being told, that when you see that person come in, you don't need to have this explanation of like, oh, well, this person is this, and they work with this, and they did that, because you've already seen it. They've already showed you.
Right.
And they've laid down the groundwork, and they've established the characters, and then it's just, you pick up from where the next story is going and how they fit into it.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like webbed out, and they, tied it all together. And
like in the new Spider-Man, I mean, Tony Stark is in it, and then you have zero question, and that answer actually makes it so much easier,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Like, you don't need to see him make the suit. You don't need to see him do anything else. It's like,
Right.
oh, Tony gave to him. Great.
Yeah, got it.
Let's actually
he
get to the
made that
story
in his
now.
spare time, like on a Saturday afternoon when he was,
Yeah.
Had nothing else
Nothing
to
to
do.
do.
It's so incredible. Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's wild. I
Yeah,
think
that's the big thing, right? It's just how nuts it is. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe that it's going. They're still so good and it's going so well.
and there's still so many more left.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like
Yeah.
there's so much.
Right, and that's why I think it's cool that they're starting to see. I liked Ant-Man a lot, even though it wasn't necessarily like the best superhero. I felt the same way about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
A lot of people might say that's the best one. Though.
It's because it was so specific and it was so different. And if you do a good job of laying down the foundation and building a world of like, okay, this is what Earth 616 looks like. This is what it is. And now it's like, oh shit, we've got stuff that's like flying around over here that's still somewhat related, either through like a cosmic entity, or you have the Infinity Stones, like whatever it is.
Krull? Weren't they the bad guys in that?
Yeah. And it was, I mean, obviously they're doing great. They don't need to hear that from me, but I think go ahead.
I was gonna say just like the other side of it goes all the way back to like when they started writing the comics themselves. Is I remember like Jack Kirby and space on his name right now. Stanley, yeah. They were all about like building the worlds that were based in reality, which I think is also
right,
could translate the film.
Because Spider-Man's in New York City, not Gotham.
Yeah, not only that, but also all their powers. But aside from Thor, essentially all of them have like a science-based power. Even when you get to the aliens, they have these powers because that's how like they need them for their planet, sort of thing.
Right.
Whoop.
What aliens? I don't know anything about it, man.
Aliens haven't been listening to us.
But yeah, so like I think that also is something that lends itself to making it so like easy to translate that to film, right? It's like especially starting with someone like Iron Man who has no powers at all.
Yeah,
he's just a smart guy who has money.
Yeah.
So like great, we can all buy into that universe, and then you slowly bring in, Hulk and other scientists. Something goes wrong, okay, and then everything else kind of just translates.
Which was something
accordingly.
Which is always something that throws me off in superhero movies when you don't know how strong someone is.
Yeah.
Like with the Wonder Woman movie, I liked it, but it was like, okay, what hurts her? What doesn't? Because like, spoilers for Wonder Woman, whatever. It's like their arrows are hitting them on the beach and they're dying.
Yeah.
But then later in the movie, she jumps through a building, like a church falls on her head, and she's just like.
And she's cool. She's
fine.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I don't know what's happening.
Confused. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you not get a nail like through your arm, but arrows were killing you on a beach?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's about superheroes and who's more powerful and how all of their powers work. I think it's an aside, but one of the funniest moments of Civil War is when the Winter Soldier goes to punch Spider-Man and he just grabs his arm and he's like, metal arm, whoa, that's cool. Just like, oh man, it's great to see those limits. And I mean, that's, it's a superhero slugfest.
And Civil War,
yeah.
And Civil War was a great payoff for some of the stuff we said earlier that still missed. So say Ant-Man missed on the villain compared to their standards, probably.
Sure.
It was still amazing to see those characters come back in Civil War. It was so cool.
And to interact and come out of the van and be like, I know you. It's like a fan first, and
that was so much fun.
It's a fun thing to incorporate how these characters interact, and I think that's why the setup for Infinity War, it's like the stakes are so incredibly high. Everyone is so invested. You've got at least a minimum of 2 films for most of the major characters except for Ant-Man, Black Panther.
Well, I mean, you could say that Black Panther was in Civil War enough that I feel like we already have a movie with
of course.
So like,
and there was a lot of context with the father character in that one.
Yeah, we got a lot of story already
about
him.
That stuff.
I mean, it's almost like an origin story without it being like
we were all like, oh yeah,
from his point of view.
Black Panther's in this movie.
I mean,
he
as
was
far as
really in that movie.
I guess technically it was an origin story, right? Because he wasn't the Black Panther, and like his father would have been Black Panther until his father died and then passed it down, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess they just.
I mean, as far as the comics, that's how it goes. Like he doesn't actually take over. Yeah. So. And back to the when he catches the hand, the same moment happened. I loved it in the first Captain America. Whenever like he realizes, or they raided one of the places and it's all been bombed and everything.
One of the Nazi places. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Hydra.
Okay.
One of the
the goofiest fucking part of that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they all fly off.
Fascist regimes is very important. It's full of super. I get it.
Like we can't stick just to one. We can't go to the right. We got to do.
I mean, I guess it's similar.
Hail Hydra, they all.
It's a parallel to like the James Bond villains in the '70s, all wearing the same outfits.
Yeah,
like, they're bad guys in their goons. Like treat them like it. But
they have to. Yeah. Oh, but in that one, there's a point where Captain America's sad. He's bummed out, and he's sitting there trying to drink. I think it's when Bucky goes missing or something, and he's sitting there drinking. And someone makes a comment to him about him drinking so much, and he's just like, he's really sad. But in that moment, he's like, it's not going to do anything. My metabolism works too fast. I can't even get drunk. Like, and it's like, oh, okay, he does. That's true. It's an improv thing. If that's true, what else is true? We can believe all this about him now.
Right.
Because if he can punch people across a building, sure, he can't get drunk off like a normal amount of alcohol.
Yeah, and I know this might be a sacrilegious thing to say about superhero films if you're looking at it through the perspective of like real artistic films, but there are parallels between the two where if you see a great film, you're never being told what's happening. You're seeing something that is very suggestive of what the truth is, and it's something that's subtle oftentimes. You don't really pick up on it unless you're looking at it through a critical eye, and I think the same is true for details like that. It's like, that's a line. That's not something of like, well, here's actually what happens when a super serum is injected into somebody. Like, it's not. I mean, it's
not,
cool.
it's not an exposition dump, but it's
right.
world building.
It's just something that's like very easy, very subtly done. It moves on. It establishes something. And it's like great. You go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Which is why I think all Marvel movies are contemporary film masterpieces. It's on.
Put that on the record. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Tarantino. It's all up there.
Yeah.
Spielberg.
And I think they even do a good job in, because like with Thor is always, like we said, the one where it's like, okay, what hurts Thor? And no spoilers, because I don't think you've seen Ragnarok yet. But they do a good job of making that character seem like he could get like his butt kicked.
Yeah.
I
did have. With that being said, though, the villain in Thor, there's one point where I was like, what is happening? Like, there's a part where she's in a big fight and someone does stab her, and just like nothing happens though. And I was like,
yeah,
I'm
I think that's the weird thing of them being like gods, even though I don't know if they're technically like. I think someone at Marvel's commented in the movie franchise and said they're not technically gods. They're just like in the movie.
In the Avengers 1, they said you're demigods, they're not full gods, but they're still. Yeah, so
whatever it is, it's like she's so powerful. You're like,
yeah.
what does this mean? I don't know.
They did try to cover their ground. They made a statement that her power comes from Asgard, so when she's there, she's that, right? But I'm like, it's still like, I have a few questions. But at the same time, like, suspension of disbelief. I mean, like, they are supposed to be at least demigods, right? So they do have this next level.
I think the only god in the Marvel universe that we've seen is Stan Lee, and he's the one above all. I love that conspiracy theory that he's like the Watcher.
They did actually decline that though. Did you see that?
Did they?
They did. Yeah, they said that Stan Lee is not the Watcher.
That would be simply someone else. That'd be funny.
Yeah, I think there was it Guardians 2? I thought there was an after credit scene somewhere where he was with a Watcher. With the Watcher.
I don't know. I don't stick around for the after credit scenes.
So I can't even tell you what I saw. I know I've seen it. Like he did some. I could have sworn it was with the Watcher, but they do have the actual gods in their universe. So Jeff Goldblum was one of them.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm missing pieces then.
Yeah.
I need to go see
I'm wondering, like the people that are watching this podcast, like, oh, did you order one?
No, but that's what I'm saying. So
I just totally
don't say like,
totally
you're talking about the Marvel universe and you haven't seen all of the it's the only one I haven't seen, guys. It's
which arguably one of the best ones.
Yeah, well, that's the thing where I was saying it's incredible. They're so good. Is I'd say Homecoming and Thor Ragnarok are as good as any of the other standalone ones.
Yeah,
I mean, not like the Avengers. Avengers 1 is hard because it's like
it's the first time
putting all the ingredients together, and it was so incredible. Which would be probably like my favorite Marvel memory is going to see that at like the premiere or whatever.
Yeah.
The premiere being like the night it came out.
Yeah.
The
big one.
But yeah, like Homecoming, like I feel like we were all a little worried because it's like Spider-Man again.
Again, right.
And then Thor was like, last two Thor movies were okay.
Yeah.
And we're not like necessarily a big fan of Thor out of the other Avengers as
but
a whole.
They definitely tested the waters, right? So like Taika also wrote and directed the short from Civil War. Like during Civil War, do you remember that? It was I don't remember what they called it. It was like just Thor and his roommate, like at the time. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
It's a really funny short. It's like so they released it because Thor wasn't in Civil War. In the comics, he was a big part of it, but they didn't want to incorporate that storyline.
Yeah, he's a huge part of it in the comics.
Yeah, like monumental.
That was so weird.
So yeah, like they avoided that, and then everyone's like, "Where was Thor? Why wouldn't Thor come back for this?" And it turns out he was like hanging out. He had a roommate on Earth somewhere, and he was just like hanging out.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah, and the roommate's normal.
He's just a dude.
Yeah.
Taika wrote and directed that as well. So like they were definitely like testing the ground, but that goes back to what I was saying. Is like they've learned from their mistakes so well.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to see another rehash. We've seen 6 Spider-Man movies. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I was like, they're just like, great. We trust that our audience will understand this, and we believe that we can have our own freedom to explore this. And I think,
and the villain was so good in Spider-Man.
Yeah, and they didn't kill him. So like another
spoilers.
You don't know who you're talking. Could be anything.
Yeah.
There are multiples.
There's so many villains. 7 billion villains. They all
7 billion
villains.
I think Spider-Man has the best villains.
Yeah. On that note, what are you going to
included, except for maybe Batman. Batman's got the best
really
villains.
Does he though? Batman has like one or two great villains, and the other ones are kind of like.
I mean,
Really? There's.
It depends
Is
on
Penguin really a good villain?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he is.
I know that's why I'm laughing.
Like in the
what about him is good?
You're just wrong. That's why I'm laughing.
What can a 5 foot tall overweight penguin guy do against Batman?
Well, I think he's best when he is more of like the rich mob boss character than he is like more of like the Arkham City, like the Arkham City video games, less of like the animated series. More like I think he's better when he is like a crime boss.
That's fair.
Some people have definitely made him seem like just this wallowing man with an umbrella.
You're talking about Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito.
I feel like that's exactly what you're talking
actually
about.
wasn't thinking of Danny DeVito.
Everyone else.
But
we all were.
Oh boy.
No, but like someone like Mysterio from Spider-Man, I hope so badly. That was actually the one thing in the Andrew Garfield movies. There was a post-credit scene in the second one, and they showed like the Falcon or the Vulture's wing. Yeah, they showed like all their things, and they showed the Mysterio skull, like the helmet. I was like, oh my god, we get to see this! I'm so excited.
Mysterio's a really cool character.
Right, it's like, but there are so many like Matt Gargan, Scorpion, Venom. There's like the anti-hero, Carnage, all of it. Man, it's so good. I actually read the other day that Ryan Coogler wanted to put Kraven the Hunter in Black Panther.
Really?
That would be pretty.
Maybe that's happened already by the time we see this. That's awesome.
I'm assuming it's not because the way he phrased it was that he really wanted to, and I didn't read the rest of the article to see the but I'm sure that Sony still
didn't do it.
Yeah, I'm sure Sony still has the rights to him and won't let him go.
I would still prefer Batman's villains. This is a Marvel topic, so we don't need to get into this.
That's different.
Just right quick though, not Joker. Who's the best one then?
Not Joker?
Yeah, because we all know Joker is the best. Joker's like the best villain for anybody.
Sure. Well, Magneto is pretty great.
Magneto is great. I still feel like
I like the Joker better, but I'm saying Magneto is like
I'm
pretty like for someone who we actually know his origin story.
Yeah.
Like all of his origin story.
I still argue that Magneto's kind of an anti-hero. Like Venom is not necessarily bad. It's just the circumstances and like what he's gone through.
I guess it depends. Yeah.
It's like,
I think that's what makes like any villain incredible when you see how it is that they got to where they were, and then you're like, yeah, that's completely justifiable. If I went through
you tear that bridge up
and saw my parents get killed in front of me as a young child at the hands of Nazis, I would probably be a little wary of anybody who's trying to classify and systematically destroy a group of people that I was a part of.
And Kevin Bacon's making you like lift coins and shit on the desk.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot about that.
Kevin Bacon. Like really? Why?
That was fun.
How many German actors are there in the world? You pick Kevin Bacon to be
so weird.
I just didn't like the X-Men reboot.
I like First Class, but Kevin
I enjoyed First Class.
First Class was great. Michael Fassbender is a treasure, but it was cast well. I don't know. It was just a
So wait, you like that one, but the rest of them no?
Well, First Class, it was nice to see, because, the original X-Men series was phenomenal, and it was really well cast, too, and when they were going through and announcing who was playing what character, it was like, oh, wow, this is going to be great, and I think it could have been amazing, but it felt too much like a reboot. It felt like, the Andrew Garfield and Spider-Man. It's like and it was cool to see stuff, as it was said earlier. And I like the Days of Future Past. It was really cool.
Days of Future Past is awesome.
A very
it's
not as well-known comic.
Oh, I meant the comic.
Okay. I was saying the comic is so good. The movie was just like there was some elements that were great.
Yeah.
I think so. That's the flip side of when the Marvel properties aren't with Marvel Studios, right? Like they get credited with the title card, but they don't actually have any real say in it. So like. Fox, for some reason, loves Bryan Singer, who did the original X-Men. Mm-hmm. It's like, of course, like the first one was great. The second one's still really good. The third one was okay.
Wait, you think X1 is better than X2?
I think just because it was like again, that was like one of the first.
I think
what year was
the
that?
First one. X1 was like 2099.
It was something. So it was the first one. Yeah. So for just for being the first one, was Blade before that or no?
It was.
Yeah. Anyway, but again, so like, it was the whole team, right? So like, of course, the first one is great. Story-wise, X2 is better.
Yeah.
But my thing, like when they got Matthew Vaughn wouldn't come back for the sequel, Days of Future, or for what's the next one they did? I don't know.
Apocalypse.
Yeah, so like whenever he wouldn't come back for the next one, I was like, okay, let's continue. All right, we saw what Bryan Singer can do. Great. So like Brian Vaughn killed it with the I cannot first class. And then so it's like they should have kept like pushing to get outside and get more creative, like Marvel Studios has done. But Fox was like, great, let's just bring Bryan Singer back in here and we'll figure this out. And for some reason, he's got such a hard on for Wolverine. That's the one thing I didn't like about the original X-Men movies, because it wasn't actually X-Men movies. It was Wolverine and friends.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Logan, though.
Yeah,
Logan's great.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to answer your question about the Joker. You said not the Joker.
Okay.
Who else would I pick? I probably would pick Ra's al Ghul, because I think it's you get a really interesting story, because you get the Whole League of Shadows with that, you get Talia, and then you also get Damian Wayne, which is a really interesting, especially in the comics. Though, I mean, you've got Catwoman, which is that's a great dynamic, especially
Who we're getting married soon.
Yeah, especially in the current runs. Spoilers. You've got Two-Face, you've got Bane. But you know what I mean? Like, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could really on paper choose which one's better or not.
Yeah.
Because you could really go one for one with a lot of it.
Yeah, I think
classic comparison, Venom and Bane.
It is.
People do that all the time.
I think I think that as far as like the movies go, right, like Christopher Nolan killed it with his movies by rooting. But again, like he kind of rooted them all in that world of reality rather than whatever. Like they don't ever really acknowledge some of what it is. I mean, like Clayface, his is like a scientific based thing, like where he radioactivity and he got buried under the ground and he became clay, and now you can just mold into anything.
Way overpowered, right?
Yeah, and it's like a ridiculous thing. But in the movies, like they made subtle nods to naming characters like that, and so
Mr. Freeze is so good in the comics.
Mr. Freeze is great.
So bad.
Are you arguing that Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't a great Mr. Freeze? Like, are you?
I'll send you back to the Ice Age. I still see you.
I
love it.
Everybody chill. I fucking love that one so much.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Can we talk about the bat nips? Is that no? We won't talk about the bat.
They talk that makes it into that David Letterman show.
Great.
Yeah, that what is it? My Next Guest has no introduction.
Yeah.
He interviews Clooney, and Clooney just is like, they're gonna yell at me for being the guy who put nipples on the bat suit or whatever. It's just funny that he's self-aware about it.
Didn't they have him in the Batman Forever? Pretty sure they were there in Batman Forever as well.
They weren't as pronounced.
I think because they had like the
it
one.
Wasn't as cold.
They had the one tier nipple, but not like the areola and then the actual. Like they didn't go like 3 steps in to that, fortunately. But
oh my gosh,
yeah,
what a special time.
And Robin's on NCIS Los Angeles now or something.
No kidding.
He's on one of those procedural cop shows.
And
it's the one based in LA.
Yeah, no, my mom watches that.
It's
NCIS Los Angeles. Yeah, it's Cool J. Yeah.
That's right.
Ooh, wow. Just put it together. Yeah.
The only reason I remember that is because from the most recent project, casting one girl, she had a clip from that on her reel, and I was like, "Hey, it's Robin."
Is he off riding a motorcycle being a badass? Is he just like he's not one to play well with others? Yeah, good.
He got tired of being a vigilante. Now he's just a full-on cop.
For him.
But he's a cop who wears like cargo shorts and like I don't know. That show's weird.
Yeah.
That show's strange.
That's fine.
Yeah, it knows its audience. It's started.
Yeah. Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
Favorite Marvel movie? Hard to pick one. Gotta pick one.
Winter Soldier.
Because
that was back to the whole thing, the question that you asked her initially. That was the movie that I was sitting in, and as it was happening, I couldn't believe it. And then at the end, it made me so excited for what they were going to be bringing. Because I haven't seen it recently, but I feel like it was the first movie that they were really reaching out to other parts of the universe. And really, I saw it as a huge setup. I love Civil War. I thought it was really fantastic, and the payoff between that relationship and how it was falling out with Captain America and Iron Man was beautiful. I was like, that's great.
Yeah.
So well acted. Stakes are so high, but I feel like Winter Soldier for me was my favorite because it was just like, get ready for the rest of not only Phase 3 but Phase 4. And
I feel like it's a more serious.
It's almost not fair to even ask that question though. Because there's such different genre films.
Or like, do you want the comedy?
It's like
do you want the drama?
It's like Guardians of the Galaxy is hilarious.
Yeah. Now that you say it, I think that's my favorite. Marvel movie.
But you haven't seen
the
Thor Ragnarok either.
Yeah, that's Thor Ragnarok.
God,
I'll go and see it when we cut tonight. All right, I'll go
Right
out.
now.
So good.
I'll find it at a $2 theater. It hasn't come out on DVD yet. It's fine. I'll see it.
I think it's on HD digital
It's gotta be
already.
available.
I know it's slipped on HD digital,
Okay.
so
Whoop! It's just stripped.
it's out on the interwebs.
Nice.
Alright.
So
You can find it.
I'll see
we
it
won't
from
promote
somebody.
that illegal activity.
Yeah.
Because I think Winter Soldier was so cool because it was like suddenly it's like a spy movie.
Yes.
It was like
Yeah,
a
it was
real
great.
espionage spy. Like,
I remember for
and the
Phase 2.
choreography is amazing.
Yeah. I do love me
Ugh.
some knife fights.
For
Yeah, the
Phase
voice
2
is so cool.
Well, and just his whole look, right? The
Yeah.
mask, and,
Yeah.
it's so fucking cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing him come out like that whole when he's like chasing them through the cars and everything, just unreal. Like that moment, like you're like this guy's scary. like
Yeah.
he is so
It creates danger well too when Nick Fury gets ambushed.
yeah.
Like this
That
guy's
whole
about to
moment,
die.
yeah, it's
Especially
exciting.
because Coulson just had died at that point.
Yeah.
You're like, this
Yeah.
guy's about to die.
Yeah, characters
Yeah.
aren't
Did he?
going to stay
Anything
around for
can
forever.
go. I remember reading in Phase 2 that that was their goal. It's like, great, let's not make superhero movies again. Let's make genre films. They think that one was the spy one. And they were trying to do like classic films. I don't remember what the rest of them were, but
Mhm.
like that was their goal. They set out to do each individual one, and I think that they killed it. Because if you look at it, it was Winter Soldier, Iron Man 3 came out around that time, so that one. I think Iron Man 3.
I think Iron Man 3 is before that.
Oh, I think like it was still in the phase. Like that was Phase 2. Iron Man 1 and 2 were under Phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
But so like they were still like because like the Iron Man 3 takes place after Avengers 1, so that would all be in Phase 2. And I think that all of the Phase 2 movies were actually pretty strong, despite Thor 2's like.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that one didn't have a great first one to really step up from.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they've just been just right. I think my favorite though, it goes back. Yeah, I don't really have an answer. I would say Civil War as far as visuals go, because it had like some of the most iconic moments from the comic books that I remember like in recent history that they're pulling from.
Mm-hmm.
So the cover of the Civil War comic book, right, was
Yeah. And they do
Iron
that.
Man,
Yeah.
and when they hit that moment, I was just like, nah, like
Yeah.
this is so.
it's
It
great.
sucks because they pulled punches, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of consequences that don't happen
Yeah,
in the
unfortunately.
movie, but that's okay.
But I'm also excited because the way that they did that, like, I mean, they've clearly had that spike between Captain America and Iron Man from the beginning, and they just like keep driving it further and further. So like now, like Black Panther, you know, so we saw at the end of Civil War that Steve Rogers is in Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's in Black Panther. He's gonna maybe show up eventually, but you know, like we know that that's coming down the line, and like what does that mean for the rest of the team and.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like there are consequences. They're not as drastic as the comic book, unfortunately. But I think that visually, as far as like hitting the moments from the comic books,
Mm-hmm.
I would say Civil War. But other than that, it would be the Thor Ragnarok or Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Because they're just phenomenal, and Taika I think is so good.
He
like,
just nailed it, right?
yeah,
Like it's like you can't believe someone gave him that much money to make that movie.
yeah.
And especially as the third movie coming off of it's just like a complete U-turn
Yeah.
for like what you'd expect.
It's also interesting that out of the properties that they have, right? Like Thor is by far the weakest one. And you have this guy that's well known
Well, I don't know
for
about-
comedies.
You mean weakest in terms of the hardest to like sell?
Yes,
public,
yeah. I mean, like, what's
It's
the one?
hardest
Like,
to
the public
yeah.
least accepted the movies we already have for him standalone. The and also like because everyone else is based in that world of reality that it's hard to sell the god, right? Like I can't connect with him, I can't sympathize with him, and so to have Taika, who's a comedy guy, come in and be like, I can fix it. You're like, how? Like, why don't you give him Ant-Man 2 or the next Spider-Man or even the next Iron Man or like anything else that we have comedy established, but they take that huge risk and it paid off. So it's fantastic.
Now I feel like I need to pick one. I don't know what
Yeah.
I want to pick. Boy. I guess I
You're like the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight! Watchmen!
While you're thinking about it, I hope that they go into later on. I hope they go into the Avengers disassembled into like the House of M.
Yes.
I hope that that's how they introduce the X-Men.
Yeah, that would be so rad.
Because I loved House
They
of
have
M.
to have that planned. I mean, like they have to.
I'm sure they
know,
do,
but like now
especially
that
because they focused on why Scarlet Witch. They've already acknowledged how powerful she is, right? And she's going to keep getting more powerful.
Right.
So it's just a matter of, since they now Fox thing, like it's got to happen.
I think it makes sense, and you could reset the universe if it gets so big to the point to where you want to go back and then flip a lot of the different characters that have already been so well established, and you just switch that on its head, and then it's like I don't know. It might not be
there's
like
so many possibilities.
But
no, it is a good idea. I mean, like look at like Warner Brothers right now, that they're trying to figure out how to reconfigure everything, and so they're saying they're going to be doing it with Flashpoint, right? So I know it's like it's a silly thing, but it's like that's their like scapegoat. But like Marvel, who's been killing it, they're like, shit. How do we? I mean, we've been doing this 10 years. By the time that they finish their current run, first off, everyone's going to be too old, out of contracts.
No, it's done.
Like,
I mean,
Robert Downey Jr. gets like over $50 million a movie he's in now. Like they can't afford to keep, right? So yeah, at some point it's like they want to keep making these movies. The only way to do that is to do something like House of M, where it's you go back and like, great, none of them existed, and then just like,
I wonder what their plan is with like the young stars they have now. Because the guy that played, I can never remember that actor's name.
Tom Holland.
Chadwick.
Chadwick
Boseman.
Bosman or
Yeah.
Boseman? Is it Bosman?
We'll say Bosman right now.
Sure. He's not that old, is he? Isn't he like low 30s?
No, he's 40.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's like 40. I want to say 42 or 44.
Wow.
Yeah, black don't crack. The dude looks good. He looks 25 maybe.
Yeah, he
But
looks.
I mean, like
he's
hurt that he's
fit,
like
but-
shredded.
Yeah, no, I mean
he's also just like a great looking.
Yeah.
No, but like
He's
he's
got
got
good
he just doesn't
genes.
look like he's aged. He just
Yeah,
looks
well,
like
I mean,
a
even
young man. Yeah.
fucking Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, that's the thing.
Table
Yeah,
right
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, I mean,
not
he's in
that
his
old,
40s.
Is he really?
He is.
Man, maybe Tom Holland's the only young one they have then. 'Cause
I think
they've
so.
got some young actors, but
Well, now Brie Larson for Captain Marvel.
yeah. That'd be cool. Oh man, I can't wait for that.
Right? And like you got this whole stuff like pending out there still.
Okay, forget the other topics. We're just going to talk about this for the whole show. Maybe we'll do a deeper dive on a
Follow up.
topic for our second podcast
We can do that.
from here on out. So I think I'm going to pick Spider-Man: Homecoming because it feels the most like a comic book movie. This is something I've heard other people say.
Wayne,
So it's
another great
not.
one.
This is not an original thought, but it
Yeah.
just seems very much like this is a comic book character. This is how he would be in real life.
Yeah.
This is this like teenage kid figuring out these powers. He's like spunky. He's like, do a flip. He does the flip. Like he arrests the guy from trying to get back into his car. Or doesn't arrest him, but grabs him. You know what I mean? It's like it's so good.
Yeah. And it's just great world building. The fact they acknowledge, because it takes place, post Avengers 1, so they're filling out that world. So even like they tried it with the TV shows, it didn't work out super great, but it's like great. We still get to see that world exists after that fact.
Right. And you've got that wonderful throwaway line of like my little cousin's in this neighborhood and it's Miles Morales.
Yeah.
You just stuff like that you just leave along for people to find and you can pick that up.
Donald Glover, who was not who knew he was in that movie, and he just
it's so
I don't think his eyes are open that entire scene.
Nah.
He's so funny. Just the best acting choices.
Yeah.
And Michael Keaton's character, Vulture,
He was
super
well-rounded.
scary.
Yeah,
And
terrifying.
also, like, you kind of see his point.
Yeah.
You're like, you kind of do seem like
Should
you
be
got
able
the
to
short
make
end of the
money
stick
for
here.
people.
Yeah, like,
absolutely
taking
destroying
advantage
the
of-
city.
Yeah. No, I think that that's one of the best movies of the whole thing.
Yeah, I like to a lot.
What it is now, like, just picking what your favorite genre film is.
That's it.
Because for the longest time, I would have said Winter Soldier. I actually might have said that had you not said it.
Yeah.
But also Thor Ragnarok now is up there too. I like Thor Ragnarok better than Guardians.
Well, now that you say Homecoming, I want to say Homecoming because I do really like that movie. And it was the first billboard that we ever had outside of our apartment. I will forever remember it. Came out July 7th, 2017.
Yeah, no kidding. That was there for a long time. What a
and just laying in his yellow jacket like
yellow
this,
jacket,
just sitting there, and it's like we at any time look out and see.
So we've
freaking
kind of
billboard.
like all established that we really like Marvel. I think. What's been the most disappointing film for you then so far?
From the Marvel
From Marvel Studios.
Marvel Studios.
I kind of like rack my brain about all of them. Right? There's something that I'm like forgetting in there.
Honestly, I want to say the Incredible Hulk film.
Oh, really? So you haven't been disappointed for a long
time.
Yeah,
You're
You're
just like, oh,
You're just on an up. Yeah.
Well,
it's like a roller coaster.
I think it was everything. I mean, it's the same. It's the same reason why, like, I think the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy and even like Singer's X-Men. It's like it was in that sweet spot of filmmaking where the technology was good enough to make things that were incredible and unbelievable on green screen, but when you go back now and you look at it, it's like...
And you're talking about the Ed Norton one, right?
Yeah.
I can't even remember what that one's actually about.
Abomination.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's just
Tim Roth was the bad
He's
guy.
just kind of there. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it's the same. It's like,
What was
he's
the
like
actual
cold, but
plot?
he's
I
not.
don't remember. I've only seen it like twice.
Because right now in my brain, the plot is like, okay, he's Incredible Hulk.
Remember, he's on a college campus.
Yeah, well, he goes there because Liv Tyler...
It's the
Liv Tyler's
guy.
Yeah.
The doorman.
Lou Ferrigno?
Yeah.
He goes like Liv Tyler's professor or something, so he goes there to try and like talk to her.
Yeah, he's
But,
trying because he's already been infected with the gamma radiation.
Oh,
isn't he in
because
South
he's
America at the
yes, he's
beginning?
in South America.
Yeah,
he's
trying to
with
cure
that,
it.
Mark Ruffalo and goes off and gets sucked back in.
Okay.
And so he's trying to cure it, and he finds the scientists, and he's secretly goes to the United States because he doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah, but the Abomination, is he just like, I want to do that and just like injects himself?
It,
or like,
if I remember correctly, it was like the military was testing it and trying to utilize that, and they the serum or the radiation wasn't the same, and it messed things up, and then you had somebody who was exactly like the Hulk except evil and
spiky.
Yeah.
So, my most disappointing was Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yes.
Actually, I disagree.
Oh.
I think it's a fantastic movie because of the different elements that are brought in terms of like the cosmic entities. I think there's a few things that were in the film that.
But is that enough to save it? I mean,
I feel like
there's some great.
that's plot. What you're talking about is plot.
There's
I think
some
the
great
actual
plot
structure
points.
of the movie is a lot
Pretty
weaker
weak.
than what we're used to from Marvel. And I feel like it's
Not only
paced really slowly.
It's pretty weak coming from the same writer-director who did Guardians 1,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I mean, like, Guardians 1 just, like, they would nailed it, right? Like, I can't imagine it being better.
This is very tight.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
And it
Guardians
was still
2.
like a good movie. Like I wouldn't. And this is just for like my personal
Comparing,
disappointment level.
If you're
still,
ranking all
still
of the
saying
Marvel-
it's great. I just went in expecting like, how could this be worse than the first one? It's gonna be incredible. They don't have to do exposition. They don't have to introduce anyone. And then it was like we hung out on spoilers. We hung out on a planet for a while, and then a villain a character we didn't really care about ends up dying at the end. In a weird family dynamic. Doesn't he die? Doesn't Kurt Russell die at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, it just felt like nothing happened.
You didn't like the introduction of the Celestials? And I mean,
that's cool, but that's just narrative.
No, I get it, but it's like that goes into,
Yes, and
The
that's
whole story.
That's why there isn't really
That's
a bad
fair.
Marvel movie, because it helps everything.
Yeah,
I rate
right.
all of it is
Yeah.
great. But I'm just saying, it's so slow compared to I know.
It feels like it's trying too hard. Like, the moments outside of plot moments, it feels like it's trying too hard. I don't know if Craig told you this. I actually was so upset with it, I went and re-edited it myself. Like,
Did you really?
I did. I took off, it was like 25 minutes of that movie, and I was like, oh, this is way better. Of course, it's because I'm biased and I did it myself, but I was like sitting there watching it first, and I was like, there's so much like dead space where there's trying to be jokes.
I've only seen it once. I need to see it again.
Watch it again.
It's on Netflix.
Yes, it is.
Right now?
It feels like, to me, that movie is like, they tried so hard to hit the same moments that were great about the first one. So right off the bat, right, they had Groot dancing to the entire intro.
Sure.
That was great. That was like a 5-minute thing.
It's a long,
In 4K.
8K.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
They shot the first 8K film.
You're right, I messed it up.
Uh,
Thought it was clever.
Hey, that's what you get. But yeah, so it's like there was that, but there was like it was like this is plot, and then all of a sudden like this is a joke, this is a punchline, back to plot, this is another joke, this is another punchline. So I was like it felt so like let's just recreate what was good. I mean like I don't even know her name, the gold lady. the Gold Queen, who was in the beginning. The whole moment where she's like walking up to Yondu in the snow and everything else. Like,
with the unfolding.
Again, that's at least a minute-long sequence of them doing that, and it's just like, okay,
She's gone on.
Yeah, it's like it's just they beat things a little too much. I mean, that movie was 2.5 hours long, something like that.
I think it's 2.5, but it's long.
It's between 2 to 2.5, right? So I think that's the big. And Spider-Man, I want to say it wasn't as long.
And I think it's another one where it's like, of course, great movie. It's just because it's the second one and it's following like arguably. Yeah. I mean, like for what it is, one of the best Marvel movies. Like if you were gonna pick a comedy, it's hard.
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is one of the best movies of the last decade. Like it truly, I would say that it is because it hits everything like a movie should hit. You're fully invested in these characters.
And it was one of those first ones to really take us off of the expectation. Because Phase 2 was starting to feel a little bit like,
repetitive,
are we just going to do superhero stories in the traditional 2000s fashion?
We're just like setting up like what happens next. But like that one, yeah, it's like, yeah, we had the whole Infinity Stone throughout the whole thing, but it's like I was legitimately interested in these characters and just the whole world they built.
And they're so new. I mean, I mean, not like they're newly written characters. Yeah. I mean, like for the, I didn't really know too much about the Guardians of the Galaxy universe and what those characters were like, what they were doing, who the villains were, and so it was like, oh great, this is something that's not rooted in Earth, but it's still in the same universe and it's connected somehow through the Infinity Stones, and we know that it's important, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But and it's also weird. I mean, it's like, these are like aliens and they're
right. It was like a Star Wars universe almost, where you're getting to see all this crazy stuff that you're like, wait, this is all happening in the same.
And that's why I like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 too, because of the visuals. I mean, it was something that was
the visuals
stunningly striking. I don't know.
Costume design as well, giving Yondu the big mohawk.
Yeah, the mohawk.
So
it was
cool.
Dope.
So great.
And I like the Groot moment when he's trying to get him to get the key or whatever, and he keeps bringing back the wrong stuff. That was like my favorite gag.
That was hilarious. That one was really good.
Okay, so final question. Real quick, we'll wrap this up in like 5-10 minutes here. Of the announced movies, what are you most excited for? So I'm going to include Black Panther, even though that might technically people might be seeing that right now. Yeah. So we've got Black Panther, we've got 2 Infinity War movies, right? We've got
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
I'm not gonna lie, I think mine is Captain Marvel. Like I'm so excited for the Infinity War movies. Mm-hmm. Just because I know like all the things we talk about, like it felt like there haven't been a lot of stakes yet for our main characters, and like even in Civil Wars, like Rhodes gets paralyzed and immediately fixed. Great, but like we know, like they said that people will die and not come back after the first Infinity War as well. So like I'm super excited to see that, but I'm even more excited to see what they do with the just a fully single female lead movie. Like
And I think they're going to knock it out of the park.
And Brie Larson is so good.
With that character.
Yeah, and I honestly think, like what you're saying, like how it felt to watch Guardians 1, to see all this explored and everything else. I felt like we lost that in Guardians 2 because we didn't really explore a whole lot. We explored like the father relationship thing, which was good, but again, too long. Like I wanted to see more of what was going on. But
they played catch for at least 45 minutes.
Woo! But Captain Marvel's again based in the same cosmic universe, and so like, we're gonna see so much and learn about these civilizations that we haven't seen anything on before. So I am so excited because it's not. I feel like Infinity War is gonna be a lot of drama and a lot of big action sequences. We already saw Thanos and Hulkbuster going against each other. Right. It's gonna be great. Like visually, that is gonna like be fantastic and super fun to watch. But as far as like getting that like, oh my god, this is so much. This is new and exciting. It's going to be Captain Marvel for me.
Have they announced a second Spider-Man movie yet? I felt like I heard about that.
They've announced it, but I don't think they have a date like set yet. I'm sure they do have the date set. I don't know.
Second question: is the Venom movie Marvel Studios or no? I know it is all Sony.
Yeah, Sony.
It's not partnered at all.
No, okay. Sony owns. Yeah, like Marvel's name will be on it because it's a Marvel comic, but
it's not studio.
Sony, so no Spider-Man in that, and no.
I think I didn't know that they said they were going to actually like kill people off and not come back. I imagine that. I really hope they just full on Empire Strikes Back it, and we leave on a low point None of the
I'm sure they
none of the
will.
Marvel movies ever seemed to do that, and I was really
Yeah.
hoping Civil War would do that, and then they kind of like, but everything was okay at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
So if they do that, I think that has a lot of potential to be exciting.
Yeah.
If I didn't know I'm about to see Black Panther, I think I might say that movie because
Yeah.
it just looks totally unique, totally different.
Yeah. It's gonna blow everything away.
So I'll say Infinity War Part 1 just because
Okay.
I'm really interested to see like.
I am.
Because if they're going to actually finally take a tone of like consequence,
Yeah.
which they have done a good job of, but not in the sense of like characters we love not coming back.
Yeah.
They haven't like they've put the characters through a lot, but they haven't ever been like okay, and now this original Avenger is gone.
Yeah.
They've never done that. So if they start doing that, that could be really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited for all of it.
Yeah, I think they will end it, like you said, end it on a dark note and leave things like just let it sit. I mean, they
Yeah.
couldn't for. I don't think they could for Civil War because it was the third Captain America movie. Like, right? They had to leave it like so his next thing has somewhere to jump from because we know that it's going to be so bad in Infinity War.
Right. Dope. All right. What do you think?
I'm going to Infinity Wars 1.
Yeah.
So I'm all about that setup.
Yeah,
It's cool.
Just set the whole thing up.
and
I'm seeing it more. I think it's going to be more like. I think it. Not that it's going to be, but I think it's going to feel more like Civil War rather than Age of Ultron.
Mhm.
I
agree.
In this set, because
it's the
I
same
know
director.
Age of Ultron.
right. I know it was a
Disappointing.
Captain America movie. It was the third for Civil War, but it felt like that was really like the rift that was developing between obviously, Iron Man and Captain America, but just that you get to see those divisions and those clear-cut factions of like, oh yeah, so you guys are all friends and you're superheroes and that's great. You're on a team, but nobody's really agreeing with each other. And so you're just going to have this like really nice sort of coming together, and then it's like, oh, here's this like Thanos is going to just run you guys down to the ground. You got to figure that
Thanos looks
stuff out.
awesome. In the
No,
trailer.
we haven't seen. He has 4 of his own, like 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse sort of thing. He has 4 of them. We haven't even seen anything on them. I'm
And I
so
want to know
excited.
this cast. Like I think they would be
Yeah.
interesting because I'm sure they could get some really good.
We know
actors
that
for
one of them is like as strong as the Hulk. I know that based off the comic books. I know like one of them's like the Hulk thing, and one of them like there's I don't know. It's gonna be insane. It really is.
And this is like one of their first opportunities. A lot of comic book movies, I think, really quickly are like, here's the impossible villain. Like, if you guys have seen
Right.
Justice League, I have. It feels a little bit like that, and you're like, okay, great. Are they going to beat him by the end of the movie? Probably.
Yeah.
But with Thanos, it's like, we've really built this for a while. I
Yeah.
feel like there's going to be a lot of payoff in him coming in,
Yeah.
being in a movie where they
Right.
can actually axe some characters, and you're going to like really create some stakes.
Yeah. So
And they've got to introduce Warlock too, right? If they're staying true.
yeah.
To that.
Well, so
That would be
they
awesome. I hadn't thought of that.
they
Yeah.
teased him at the end of Guardians 2. They showed his
What
cocoon
was
thing.
the Oh.
It was after that.
I haven't
okay.
been watching the teaser trailers much
Oh,
because
you
I'm always like,
gotta,
I mean the post.
you gotta watch the post credits. There's
Because
some
I
good
just
stuff
don't want
there.
to wait, and I'm like, I'll YouTube it, and then I forget.
And then you never do.
Yeah.
So 2 questions for you guys then. So first off, we know it's at least one person will die. I'm guessing it's gonna be one of the original Avengers. Who do you think it's gonna be?
Easy answer would be Black Widow.
Interesting.
I don't think they will.
But that is an easy answer because she, out of like those she doesn't have a superpower. and she doesn't
That's
have-
why I meant
she doesn't have
easy
a suit of
answer
armor.
because she seems like the one
Yeah.
where it's like, if Thanos is really like wrecking
Like one
shit,
real
she
punch and
seems-
she's done, right?
With that and just like getting out of the way of things.
Yeah.
It just seems like she would be.
I would like
If
to
they
see
ever have to run, it seems like she's going to be the slowest because
Yeah.
she's just a regular, really athletic person running.
someone could
Yeah.
grab her, but Hulk also probably protect her.
Yeah.
In a sense. I would like to see some more friendly fire. So like we saw in Civil War, right, where Vision
Yeah.
blasted Rhodes, but like at this point, because there's so many of them, how could they not hit each other?
Yeah,
right? At some
right.
point, like I would love to see something like that. But
I think it'll either. I think to have the most impact, it has to either be Cap or Iron Man.
It's gonna
Right.
be Steve.
It's probably going to be Steve.
that's what I was thinking as well.
I thought that was the easy answer, and that's also coming more from like Marvel contracts and who has so many number of.
He's already done more movies than he signed up for, hasn't he? Didn't he sign
Yes.
up for like 6?
Well, then
Yeah, Johnny.
you have the guy. I can't remember the dude's name.
Robert Downey Jr. is also over his contract. So is
Scarlett Johansson has to be.
she
There's
is.
no way they play
Basically,
her
all of
being
them
in
except
that
like Mark Ruffalo's not.
He's not used a ton
Yeah,
because they probably have to pay so much for
But-
CGI.
But
the
they
whole-
just signed Bucky to 8.
Chris
Oh,
Hemsworth
what's his name?
plays
He's in
Bucky
Icon
Barnes.
Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's so
good.
good though.
Yeah.
So in the comics, right? I mean, he takes over as.
for Cap,
So I
yeah.
totally see that happening since they didn't kill Cap in Civil War like they were supposed to. But
I think
Yeah.
they'll kill Vision. I don't think that's a fun character to keep around.
Vision actually
Really?
is a fantastic character.
No, I
he's
love him in the
phenomenal.
comics, but I could see them.
I'm sure he'll die
Okay,
in the second
okay.
one because he has to die for him to get the stone.
Okay, I didn't mean fun as in like I don't like the character. I meant
Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant it's more interesting story wise
Yeah.
because we have this Scarlet Witch and Vision romance going on
Yeah.
to kill him than to have him there. I
Yeah.
think
But at the
that's
same
what I
time-
meant. That's what I
At the same time, that feels. I guess if that's their plan, right, they could lead that into the House of M stuff down the road. If because she lost her brother already.
Such a good time to
And-
be a Marvel fan.
Okay.
So what was your two questions?
So the second question is also like, what do you think Thanos' real drive is? So there's been some subtle hints throughout.
Oh,
the,
you think it's gonna be like in the comics
The
where it's death? Yeah,
I feel
that's,
like it is.
with Hera or whatever her
Uh-huh.
name is in Ragnarok. I haven't seen the movie. I don't know the character's name.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The woman from Benjamin Button.
that yeah,
Kate Blanchett.
that she was that one. Elf
That would
in
be
Lord of the
so
Rings.
cool. I hope they do that.
No,
And-
no.
So yeah, I like. So I mean, they did right. They did in the very first Avengers movie, right, where they teased that at the end, like to fight them would be to court death. Like they threw that out there right
Right.
away. And I think that like it's. That he definitely has an actual drive. It's like his
Right.
goal isn't just to crush everything because he could if he wanted to.
Right. Yeah.
I'm also super intrigued because in Thor, spoiler for you, there's one point where she walks up to a gauntlet that's being kept on Asgard and she says fake and she pushes it down. So we know there are fake Infinity Gauntlets in the universe.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so like that lives a lot to like play with, but like he's got the true motivation. So like, do you
Yeah.
think it is death? You think that it's
I don't know. I don't know a ton about Thanos, but I don't think there's a better one
right?
for what they've already done.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
it seems like it's
uh,
gonna fit in well with you.
unless it's just like- Unless
Yeah.
he's just like the 15th conqueror we've seen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I feel like for the character that already has such a cool.
Yeah. So the thing is, I feel like it has to be death as well. Because yeah, we already know he could ruin planets. He already has two of the stones, right? We know that because of in Guardians of the Galaxy,
Mhm.
he shows up to the planet. He's about to blow it up with one spike to the ground. So it's like, great. He could go around and destroy anything he wanted to, but he's got something going. I mean, like there's something here. Like I don't know, does he have to kill so many of the Avengers in order to get her attention? Does he have to like what is it gonna be? Like how does he or
something that would be really cool?
Yeah.
Talking about characters dying. I won't do this because he's probably such a star for them. But it'd be really cool if they killed Tom Holland and Miles Morales took over as like our Spider-Man.
that would be huge.
Just like I know like they probably won't do that because Tom Holland's awesome
and he just started.
and he just started. But it'd be on like the level.
That'd be
of,
so
like,
shitty for
if
Tom
he-
Holland.
Peter Parker.
Like,
Yeah.
Tom Holland's gonna be fine.
He'll
That
be-
guy's
yeah.
gonna work all the
He's
time.
But right, no, but I'm saying like just like to be like if,
Yeah,
imagine
yeah,
you were
yeah,
like
yeah,
19
yeah,
years
yeah.
old playing Spider-Man, you're like, this is the best thing in my life. Oh, we're gonna kill you, and the next time you show up,
Yeah. I'm
Sorry.
sure they would do that because everyone would be like, we're our fourth freaking Spider-Man.
yeah,
But that would
Yeah.
be cool to have Peter Parker die.
that would
Well,
be.
but, I mean, Peter Parker's still around in the Miles Morales.
As they
I
can,
know. I know they both can exist. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that would be cool.
That would
yeah,
be
correct.
great. Doey.
I thought that
The
was
last
exciting.
thing for the goddess or the death thing, they don't necessarily mean that to make in the comic books. He actually courts death itself.
It's the personification of the what's the group of them? It's like death, space, eternity.
Yes.
The
Elementals.
I feel like it's cosmic entities. Don't hold me to it.
I know there's one called the Celestials. Is it the Celestials?
It's like because it's an Easter egg in the Guardians of the Galaxy when Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, first goes into the temple where the Infinity Stone is.
Mhm.
You can see it on the wall, and it's like space, eternity, death. There's 5 of them. It's the
Economic
sisters, the five
limit.
sisters, or the 5
Yeah.
siblings.
Yeah.
That apparently have like
They're like the true
All of
powers,
the
and then it's the
universe.
I've heard of
Celestials,
this
and then
too,
it's,
but I do not know what
Right.
it is. But
yeah,
I second this.
yeah. I mean, like it would. So my thought after seeing Thor Ragnarok, though, I was like, oh, that'd be like if I were Thanos, I would definitely first off be aware that Hela, the goddess of death, is as strong as she is, and like figure out a way to like incorporate her back into like his fold instead of just letting her like run around and destroy things. But yeah, I mean, like I think even doing that, since they've touched on, we know the Celestials exist by having like Jeff Goldblum is one, and Kurt Russell, he was one as well. So like we know they exist, so there's got to be that higher power. So like in order to bring that in, I think that would just then kind of like flatten everything else, right? Like, and then it's a little bit like in our own existence, like we all like think our minute details are so important to us and everything else, but on the grand scheme we're nothing. And like so that's a good way to like flatten the universe as well, where it's like, you know, Tony and his shit with Pepper Potts and everything else, like, oh no, don't fight. But then it's like, oh, there is a legitimate death out there that you didn't even know about.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
It is like
so much opportunity, and it just goes back to what we said right off the bat, which is somehow they keep knocking it out of the park.
They do, yeah.
And it's more fun to like the movies than it is to be a hater. So get on board.
You're saying that to like 3 people with internet access. Who are the people who are vocally against Marvel movies?
A ton of them actually.
I saw one article.
I already saw one article that was like, "Oh, Marvel missed it again with Black Panther. They had a clear opportunity." It was a very specific reason. It was like they had a clear opportunity for the LGBTQ thing in there, and it's because like in one of the newest runs of Black Panther, there's one of the, I forget what they're called, the guard, the all-female guard. There's 2 of them that are gay together. And, like, they just don't acknowledge that in the movie, I guess. But it's, like, again, it's not completely based off the comics. They don't have to. But also, if there's not a point to focus on it, why would we just, like, throw in... You're like, how would you do that?
They don't focus on romance. I mean, I guess they
the majority of them.
But also, that, like, defends including it or not. But it's... I could go for more Pepper Potts sometimes than Tony. Because I like their dynamic.
That's fair.
We don't really see it much. So they kind of don't...
I feel... Well, not until we see it, but I feel like this movie is going to focus on the relationships between like him and his mother, and him and the other like family members. So I feel like focusing like I don't know how they would even introduce the guard women as being gay anyway. And, like I don't know. It just feels like
it could feel a little
forceful.
Tacked on.
Yeah.
Maybe it's better to leave something like that out versus making
Exactly.
it feel like they threw it in.
Well, and I mean, if they're estimating. I read to 176 or 180 million weekend opening.
I bet they're gonna make more than that.
I bet it breaks 200. I bet it's gonna destroy records. But right, so like if it does that opening weekend, they're definitely gonna do another one, which will let you then explore the guards and everything else in between. So it's like, don't shove things down people's throats right now. Like, let them organically show up. But
this movie might also win for best original Marvel soundtrack.
Yeah,
It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna win a Grammy for sure. Kendrick.
He'll get snubbed, like he always does.
Taylor Swift's gonna do the soundtrack for Flashpoint or whatever the next Aquaman.
I don't know. That's such a. It seems like that's such a silly opinion to have. Like, if you, because the way that I try to always see this movie is like, put your ego aside, put your 25-year-old disposition, put like the technical aspects of like filmmaking and what you know to be like really artistic, like well done films, and just go back to being like a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old being like, man, I just want more of this. I remember playing like X-Men Legends. Yeah. I played the doo-doo out of that game. The literal poop out of that game, because it was like, look at all of these X-Men, and like I'm here and I'm controlling them, and like Magma's really cool. Like I love Alison Cressmere, and like that's a really cool. Like what if I was, like 16 years old and in high school, and all of a sudden I just had like powers that melted half of like my neighborhood block. Like that would be so freaking cool to get brought into the X-Mansion and like start to learn how to become a mutant, and you incorporate all of these characters that you know and love from the comic books. That's what they're doing with the freaking movies. Like they're introducing all of these characters, and
they are good on a film standpoint.
Sure,
they're not schlumpy.
And in terms of like inclusivity, it's like, I don't know. I'm saying this, and I'm sure that this could be completely misconstrued and taken out of context, but like, I don't even want to touch it.
All right, well, we need to wrap up anyway. Actually,
well,
no, I'm serious.
I know.
Don't touch it. The last thing I think.
Don't touch it. You're gonna talk for so long.
No.
Touch on this. No, you're gonna talk for so long.
No. I'm so ready to be done. I got stuff to do. I got things I gotta get
You
to.
don't watch Thor Ragnarok.
You know,
That's
I'm a
right.
Black Panther. I got things to see. The only thing that I'll say is that superhero movies should always be about strong, independent, incredible, like awe-inspiring white men. That's what I really need to say. It should never be about anybody else that is younger than like 28, older than like 36, that's not waspy, Eurocentric, white. That's all I mean.
That's
so,
it.
And that's it. I mean, really, like that's all that I can say on that. So
What was your last question?
that's it. I'm not going to talk for hours.
Done.
Yeah, that's it.
For the relationship thing, though, I would watch a whole movie if they would go back and scrap the other X-Men movies or do it up parallel. I want to see Iceman, Rogue, and Kitty Pryde's like weird love triangle.
that
I'd
would be
watch a
awesome.
whole movie
That's
on that,
so interesting.
right? Like you saying, like getting those powers and like dealing with them as a fucking teenager.
Yeah.
Like that was like that moment was so good, and then I was like, show me more of that. Give me a coming of age story with that.
That would be awesome.
So much fun.
What's the one thing that, can we ask, what's the one thing that you'd want to see on film? Any superhero movie, DC, Marvel, whatever? I got a really easy answer for this.
What's the one thing I'd want to see?
The one movie that could be made that hasn't been made. Yeah,
You
what would
go
like
ahead.
to see?
Moon Knight.
Oh, Moon Knight.
I want
would
to
be
see Moon
dope.
Knight.
Yeah,
That would be
pretty
because that's
freaking
like
cool.
he's so fucked in the head,
Yeah,
and like
with
because
schizophrenia.
Yeah, like,
and
then, like,
multiple personalities.
did anyone read the newest Moon Knight series?
I haven't heard it's
The
great.
visuals in that
It's
are
Tom King,
so
right?
stunning.
Isn't Tom King writing on that?
I
Same guy that's
actually don't
writing
know.
for Batman now? Or he did write on Moon Knight for a while.
I'm not
I
sure.
think his name's Tom King.
I don't want to be wrong, but the visuals
I
are
might
so
be
incredible. So like again, Guardians of the Galaxy blew me away because the visuals got away from everything else and it looks so good. They could do that with Moon Knight in such a like a psychological, just so good.
That'd be weird. I want to see Batman Beyond. I
Yes.
want to see a film version of that. That would be. I wish that was what they did for at the end of Dark Knight Rises.
That
Instead of
would've
it being Robin.
Robin, yeah. I want if they do that, I want Will Friedle to come back and voice the CG Batman Beyond as well.
I'd probably say, I think it's called Death of the Family.
Yeah, that's a good one as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I love
Yeah.
whenever you get a strong Joker Batman
You're
story.
all
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
Yeah.
If I were to pick something that isn't related to DC or Marvel, I would kill for an Invincible HBO series.
Are they doing that?
No, they're making a movie supposedly,
Oh.
not a series. But for like a 4-season run of that on
That would be good.
HBO or Showtime.
I would say Saga or East of West if we're looking outside of
Okay, that's just cheating. Though, yeah, Saga. Someone's gonna have to make something.
Game of Thrones.
There's no
once
way.
Game of Thrones ends,
There's no
they'll
way like
introduce Saga.
Showtime hasn't been like, well, if HBO has Game of Thrones, what like, how is
Or
it?
Amazon.
Yeah,
Netflix,
someone is
or
gonna grab
like,
Saga.
I don't know how that. Oh, there was
Though I would actually rather see Invincible, but that's just me.
That's fair. I think that we're a little. The fatigue is real for heroes, right? I mean, Invincible is a really great one that's unique, but I'm just like, another one might be a little bit too much right
the
now.
reason I like it is because it's actual it's like real consequences.
That's fair.
Like it's like
Yeah.
people like if someone was actually as strong like Superman, what would actually happen?
It would be
It's like
the real.
cities getting leveled, people getting ripped in
Yeah.
half. It's like,
No,
but,
no, that movie's been made. We've seen Batman versus Superman. We saw that.
no, the
Level
city
the
leveled,
whole
but
city.
everyone made it out fine.
No, but we got the consequence of like he's really strong. Yeah, that was fully fleshed
And
out.
Zod
and,
suddenly
yeah, it
figures
was
out how to
great.
fly after being there for
Yeah, it was-
7.5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, Michael Shannon, you have military focus. You devil.
Like,
Alright, let's wrap this up.
Done.
Are we done?
We're done. Alright, thanks for watching the Empty Theater Show, guys. You can find out more about us on emptytheater.org or Empty Theater on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Craig Fairbanks. That's Joseph Maxwell. That's Michael Joyner.